Hi guys, and welcome back to the world of 28mm. I'm Adam, and in this episode we're going to be building and painting the Bates mansion. Now unfortunately the camera didn't record the actual build, so we're going to jump straight to the painting session. Alright, so let's get down to the table and we'll crack on.
So prior to pressing record, I'd already base coated the roof sections of the Bates mansion in a German red brown Vallejo Model Air. It just gives it a really nice tone for the terracotta style tiles. As for painting the mansion itself, we're going to use 3 different tones of grey to get that sort of weathered wood effect. We want that grey silvery wood that we see all over the place. So to do this, we're using the 3 tones Vallejo Model Air Grey, Vallejo Model Air Neutral Grey, and Vallejo Game Colour Stonewall Grey. We're going to apply this to the house using streaks following the wood panels. And first of all, we go off with our darkest grey, put some streaks in, then without washing our brush off, we go into the mid-tone grey. Rinse and repeat, so we do streaks that follow the planks, and then finally, again without washing our brush off, we can go into the Game Colour Stonewall Grey and add some lighter tones. The bonus with doing this is you can, if you're unhappy with the look, if it's too light or too dark, you can always go back in with other greys and just touch it up, maybe take some of that light away or lighten up some of the dark. We can also use a sponge during this process. If you find that you are getting too many brush strokes, just take a small piece of sponge and you can dab away those brush strokes. You could also use a sponge to add extra chipping effects or extra weathering. But in this case, I just used it to get rid of any strong tones or any brush marks. In this section, I'm only painting one half of the house just so I demonstrate the techniques to you guys. But I'm just finishing up this last piece by going with some of the light grey and a sponge and it just to add some like chips to it. And this whole process of the greys and the sponging technique is followed around all of the walls of the house. So next up, we're going to start on the porch. And we are going to base coat the porch floor with Vallejo Model Colour Iraqi Sand. And then once we've put down our base coat, of a light ochre, in this case, as I say, Iraqi sand. While it's still wet, we are going to get the Agrax Earthshade out. This will add some tone, but because the paint's still wet, it will mix as well, so it gives it that. It'll give it a really nice, grungy looking, well-worn porch. There's lots of different tones of ochres and browns. It just gives it a really nice, grimy look. Now we go in with the Agrax Earthshade. Quite heavily, I might add. But the important thing is that we are getting the Agrax Earthshade on whilst the Iraqi sand is still wet. And that it will just give it that nice grungy, grimy look. And then we are going to go on to the porch next. And we're going to do a similar technique, not quite the same, but base coat the ceiling of the porch and all of the railings, all in Iraqi sand. And then once that's dry, we can add some Agrax Earthshade to it, and then we can make it look a bit more dirty. It's important to note that when I put the Agrax Earthshade down over this Iraqi sand, that I did put it on very heavily. It didn't cover up any details, but I let it pool. I didn't put it on one thin coat. It was just, it gave it a really nice dingy look. We apply our Agrax Earthshade after 2 thin coats of the Iraqi sand. As I was saying earlier, make sure it goes on nice and heavy. I'm going to use a bigger brush here and just let it pool and let it run down. The Agrax Earthshade will just make it look very streaky because you've overloaded your brush and you've overloaded the model. It will give some really nice dirty tide marks and a little bit of a weathered look. And once you're happy with that and you're going to let it dry, we will go back to the main mansion itself and we're going to give it a thorough coating of Games Workshop's Nuln oil. Oh, and the roof as well. Forgot about the roof. So we're going to go over the roof and the main body of the house with Nuln oil. This will darken down the roof tiles nicely and make them pop back out again. But most importantly, when it's used on the main body of the house, its sole purpose really is not so much to shade the model, but to tie all of those different greys that you've used together. Was going to have a drink of my tea there, but decided to just crack on instead. And once you're happy with that and you're letting it dry, what we're going to do next is we're going to make the porch look a bit more dingy and run down. To do this, I'm going to use Citadel's Rhinox hide. It's a very deep burnt umber. We are also going to use it to paint the lattice work on the front as well. I wasn't, earlier on in the video you'll see I gave the foundations a coat of the German red brown as well, and then I used the Nuln oil to darken it down, but I wasn't very happy with it. So in the next video we're going to redo the brickwork at the bottom, but I've just, there you see me giving it another coat of the German red brown to get rid of the darkness. Next up we're going to go in with some Nuln oil on the lattice work on the front, and this will just help pick out all of the little diamond shapes in between what would be the woodwork. And then to weather up the porch a little bit more, we are going to go in with some of our mid-tone grey from Vallejo Model Air. Then a little bit of the light grey from Vallejo Model Colour. And then finally we're going to use our Citadel Rhinox hide very sparingly around, just to imply the darkened wood underneath, or maybe rotted wood. And once you're happy and it's all put back together, you should end up with something that looks like this.
And there you go, guys, that's the end of this week's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I certainly enjoyed doing the Bates Mansion. So, like it if you've liked it, share if you think anyone else would like to see it, and don't forget to subscribe for the next episode. Have fun, guys.